Sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryankaravavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let us chant verse number 20 and number 28, 29 and 30. So starting with verse number 20. Asti bhati priyam rupam nama chetyam shapanchakam adyatrayam brahma rupam jagat rupam tatodvayam. Number 28. Akhande karasam vastu Satchidananda Lakshanam Ityavichinna Chinteyam Samadhir Madhyamo Bhavet Stabdhi Bhavo Rasa Swadat Tritiyam Purvavan Mataha Etaihi Samadhibhi Shadbhihi Something is not right. Let me double check one thing, just 1 second. No, it's okay. So, etai shadbhihi nayet kalam nirantaram. So, one more time. Stabdhi bhavo rasa swadat tritiyam purvavan mataha etaihi samadhibhi shadbhihi nayet kalam nirantaram. And then number 30. Dehabhimane galite Vikyate Paramatmani Yatra Yatra Mano Yati Tatra Tatra Samadhayaha. Okay. So we are actually coming to the end of this text. I may not take all the verses at the end. There is a significant set which should be done, and I think we are coming quite close to that. So with that, this course will be over. My guess would be maybe 4 or 5 more classes, and then I think we're going to be done. We'll see. So what we had seen in the last class with some meditations to go along with it was the nature of the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi means one where you are beyond the experience of Jnata, Jnayam and Jnanam. This Triputi, this triad, you're able to go beyond it. You don't really need that anymore. You see, at the present moment, when we are awake as a human being, our status and our identity is that of I am a knower. I know things. So knower also means doer and experiencer and so on. Experiencer is a better word. That I am as an experiencer. So this is exactly what happens. So I'm doing things. I know things. I desire things, and so this is the status as an experiencer. This is my experience. So one interesting way to look at this really is that I am a very sophisticated appliance. I just depart from our normal way of looking at this. Just look at it this way. This is the truth. This is exactly what the Vedanta, the Acharyas, the Shruti says. Look at it. You are functioning as a very sophisticated appliance. Okay? So what that means is that, it's kind of like a very sophisticated computer that has some artificial intelligence. So a sophisticated computer means that first of all, there is hardware involved in the computer. So it all depends on microchips, what version of the Intel chips do you have, what is the enclosure, is this a desktop or is this a laptop? And nowadays, of course, the cell phones are extremely sophisticated computers. And they have associated memory and so on. So the human being is pretty much like that. You should see that the human being is an appliance designed by Ishvara. Absolutely, this is the fact. It's an appliance designed by the Ishvara, where you are now transacting like a computer would. Much more sophisticated, of course, and has a lot of artificial intelligence. It has memory. It has the power to recall. It has the power to speak even, like you have speakers in the computer. And it has some audio that you can receive. And unlike a computer, although that could be done also in a robot, for example, you're walking around. So we are really an appliance. Excuse me. And as an appliance, we are fairly comfortable with that identity. This is who I am. And the appliance is such which has both the gross body. The gross body also has the ability to grow. Like a computer does not grow. But this appliance actually takes shape as a baby. And it can take food. And it grows. And it has some very sophisticated software. So it has a mind. And it has the ability to remember. And the ability to distinguish. This is called buddhi. And remember is you have a memory for that. And you have a long term. I mean, I can go on and on, but the main thing is, what I wanted to show here is that we are a living appliance. It really is the best way to look at it, honestly. We are a living appliance. And the question is, what is the nature of the appliance? If we analyze that, if we look into it, because normally, you you use a computer and you don't inquire into it. I wonder what this computer is made out of. How does it function? How does it function? So that one you don't really think about, you just take it for granted. So similarly, I am moving around, talking, listening, growing old, all those kinds of things that are happening, having diseases, exercising, enjoying, all those kinds of things as an appliance. And I never looked to see what is the nature of the appliance. If we do, then we are told there is something funny going on. Because powering the appliance is something very subtle, which is non-changing. I'm just talking about electricity in this particular case. So there also we can say that electricity is not ultimately non-changing. That also can be switched off. That also has to be generated. But in terms of the relative example of an appliance and electricity, is it still true that the electricity has the ability to power up the appliance? And not only the power of the appliance, but to be associated with each of the function of the computer. So you need electricity for storing. You need electricity. Electricity is used for a computer to receive input from the internet. Electricity is needed for talking, having some speakers associated with the computer. Electricity is there everywhere. And just without that, nothing really happens. So the computer does not have the ability to really do anything on its own except when it is powered by the electricity. And the electricity also does not really change with the things. It just flows through it. And just the way the appliance is made, the flowing of the electricity makes the appliance come alive and function and move and talk. Exactly the same thing is true for us. It's hard to visualize, hard to believe, but the Shastra says, listen, you are a combination of the unchanging Chit Swarupam, the Atma which does not change, which is in the form of consciousness. And the difference between electricity and consciousness is that electricity also has to be generated, whereas the consciousness is always there. It cannot be generated and it cannot be eliminated. So this was given in verse number, if you remember this, verse number, let me go back to it, number 5. Na udeti, it is never born. Na astameti, it is never gone. Na vriddhim yati, there is no change to it. The appliance may grow old, as it usually happens. So every now and then, the computer cannot function anymore because it has gone through the useful life. You have to get a brand new one. Or if the computer is okay, your software is not up to date. So nowadays, of course, you have to get automatic updates. So the software has to be kept up. In the electricity, there is no such thing as a new software. And there is no vriddhim yati. It doesn't become old. It doesn't change. Swayam vibhati. Ata anyani bhasayet sadhanam vina. And so here also there is a difference now. Whereas the electricity was vyavaharika sat, it is transactional truth, whereas Atma is paramarthika sat. It is absolutely true. And so in the case of electricity, that also is dependent on the electric grid and the extraction of that from the very high voltage. All of those kinds of things happens in the electricity that powers your computer. But in the case of the Atma, Swayam Vibhati. This is something that has to be really, you can just, if we can appreciate that part of it, Swayam Vibhati, Swayam Bhavati. So the word Swayambhuhu, the word Swayambhuhu is very appropriate here. You know, Swayambhu. We call it Swayambhu as it's sort of like an Ishvara and so on. But not really, it is your own self. And in fact, the reason that why the Swayambhu is just ignored is because it is there all the time, just in the background. So once you look into what is making the appliance work, it's an amazing conclusion. My God, the Atma is the one which is really powering up myself as an appliance. And it stays in the background. And it never changes. It's never born. This is the truth. So this can be seen in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This can be seen in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And so we saw how this can be done. Normally it is invisible to you. You are just involved with the functioning of the appliance. That's all. But if you look into it, as long as you don't look into it, you stay at the level of the appliance. But if you were to inquire into it. So there is a very famous couple of verses in our Shastra which says, Avicharita Siddham Dvaitam. Avicharita Siddham Dvaitam. Avicharita means by the process of non-enquiry. Because it is not inquired into. Siddham Dvaitam. So Dvaitam means a sense of limitation. So a sense of limitation means your identity as this appliance only. See, that's what Dvaitam means. Dvaitam means duality, which means multiplicity really. But what it really means is you're taking this body-mind complex as the truth. This is me. And so this is what is called avicharita siddham dvaitam. It is non-enquired. You say, this is who I am. What are you talking about? There's nothing else about it. I don't see the Atma anywhere. I can see my body, but I don't see the Atma. It's called Advicharita Siddham Dvaitam. What it means is that this sense of limitation, this sense of identity with this particular appliance, I keep referring to the human being as an appliance, this sense of taking myself to the appliance will disappear if you look into it. Avicharita Siddham Dvaitam. And there's another verse which says, Vicharam na sahate. Vicharam na sahate. Sahate means it cannot stand inquiry. It is there as long as you don't look into it. But it disappears as soon as you start. Where is the truth? Where is the truth? So you start looking for truth, and as a scientist you start saying, what is the basic particle? What is it? What is a table made out of? Well, the table, as you find out, is made out of some molecules. What are the molecules made out of? The molecules are made out of atoms and electrons. What are the atoms made out of? Well, there are some subparticles. What are the subparticles made out of? So you keep on looking into it, and you find that the subparticles are nothing but an expression of consciousness. This is where it all resolves. Consciousness? But I don't see it. It is there. You cannot have anything else except consciousness. This is what it is. And the consciousness which is na udeti, na astameti, na vriddhim yati, na kshayam, swayam vibhati yatha anyani sadhanam vina. So this can be seen in a nirvikalpa samadhi. And so we saw in the meditation in the last class 2 weeks ago, I guess, where how this inquiry needs to be done. So there we saw. So now we can start to summarize all of this, starting with verse number 23. This whole process of the steps of the inquiry that is done is, first of all, there are samadhi dvividho, dvividha bhavati. One is a approach to the nirvikalpa samadhi inside hridihi, and one is outside. So salvikalpaha nirvikalpaha samadhi dvividho hridihi. So now if you can draw a picture, there are 3 kinds of samadhis that are enunciated for doing inside yourself, which is savikalpaha, and then it has savikalpaha, then you have drishya and shabda, 2 different forms of that, and then it leads to nirvikalpaha, right? Or you can do it outside. So that was shown to be in number 27. So all this inside was done from 23, 24, 25, 26. Then the outside was given. Hridi iva bahya deshepi, number 27. Hridi iva bahya deshepi yasmin kasminscha vastuni samadhi adhyah sanmatrat Nama Rupa Prithak-kriti. So we did that. So what it means is, really speaking, what it says is this, that there also the outside samadhis also results in nirvikalpa samadhi. Inside samadhi also results in nirvikalpa samadhi. First it is savikalpa, then becomes nirvikalpa, or the savikalpa can be done from outside. And so we saw that, just a very quick comment on that. So there, if you look at anything outside means just something which is clearly not you, the appliance. It's like the appliance is looking at a robot. Let's say it's an appliance, and the robot is looking at outside things and gathering data. Like, you have these robots that are moving. I remember this. This was, I think, roughly 20 to 25 years ago. Yes, it was a long time. That time when I was working for Hewlett Packard at one time, and I had gone to, I believe, to Singapore for some sales conference. And I believe that I had a customer also with me. And so we were showing them where these equipments are made and so on. So this is back in early 90s, I think. But what I saw was the factory, and for the first time I saw robots at work. Now they are all, so common. Every car is, Teslas are made out of robots and so on. But at that time it was very, very preliminary. And I remember we were 4 or 5 of us, or maybe some more, that was given a tour by a local person. And every now and then he would say, watch out, there is a robot coming. And so the robots were on some kind of a rail, and they are just powering themselves in. And if you don't watch out, they might hit you and injure you. So we had to be, I wasn't aware of all the rails that are there. And then we were fascinating. Oh my gosh, these robots. And all they were doing at that time was carrying goods from one place to the other. That's all. But anyway, this is what outside means. The robot has to be aware of what is outside. So similarly, you and I, when we look at things outside, this is how this Sarvikalpa Samadhi has to be done. So just look at this. The so-called outside means any one thing you take. Let's say you're looking at the table. So you ask yourself, what is this? This is a table. The table means what? It means it is made out of something, wood, and it has horizontal surface, smooth surface, and it is sitting above the ground. This is what a table is. And then you say, okay, that's one thing. What about the wall? Okay, the wall is slightly different because it is vertical in nature and goes all the way from floor to ceiling. That's called a wall. There's a name for it. There's an object called wall. Okay, so let's just take these two objects, a table and a wall. Okay. Do you see anything common between them? Yes, they are both in the same room. And they both have, and then you can say they are both perceived by me. You can make a couple of conclusions about the table and the wall being, etc. That's what's common. Anything else? No, I think they're all different. It's just that there are a couple of things that are common. They both exist at this time. Okay, fine. They both exist at this time. They are both coexistent in this room at this time. Okay. But after that you say, no, after that they're different. The table is table, wall is a wall. Not true. There's something more that is common. What is that? So, what is common between them is asti bhati priyam. Adyatrayam brahma rupam. Jagat rupam tatodvayam. What do you mean by asti bhati priyam is the common between the table and the wall? So, asti bhati priyam satyam jnanam anantam is the basic ingredient of everything that you see outside in your universe. Everything. How? Asti bhati priyam is the stuff, the reality of everything that you see outside. You see, everything is, there is a common thing between all the things, which is that they are there. They are there. There is a astitvam about everything. And bhati also. They are known. And that they are pleasing. They are okay with me. This is the common element between all of them. And what about things that are not there, that I don't see? Does it not also, should it not extend to it? It's true. But here's the thing which is not there. Just look at the sentence. That thing is not there. So what is different is it is not there, but what is common is. You see? Something is. That is just you. You are. A thing may not be there, but the isness which is resident in the Atma is always there. And so distinguishing parts are, one good example to see that is that there may be differences in golden ornaments. You may have something which is a necklace. You may have something which is a ring. So all those are names and forms. Nama Rupam. Iti Amsha Panchakam. But they're all made out of gold. And the gold is visible there outside. Here it is invisible because it is the very Atma, which is Asti Bhati Priyam. So you see that? You see how this works? Because the names and forms distinguish from each other. The table is different from a wall. And both of them are different from things that are not visible to me at this point in time. But I never disappear. I am like the gold. This is the Savikalpa leading to Nirvikalpa. I am Asti Bhati Priyam. And attached to me, I am like the gold. And attached to me are various ornaments. Some of them look like tables, some of them look like walls, some of them look like absent things. So the absence is also a form. But the basic isness, Asti Bhati and Priyam, never goes away. Never. This has to be appreciated. This has to be inquired into. So this is what is called avicharita siddham dvaitam. And this dvaita means you are only confining yourself to be totally involved in understanding what a table is, how is that different from a wall. But they all culminate in you, which is Asti Bhati Priyam. Do you ever disappear? Not possible. Do you ever not be conscious? Not possible. Do you ever cease to be pleasant? Not possible. But, that's not true, you can say, because sometimes I don't like myself. But there, what you don't like is your mind, not the Atma. The very fact that you say, I don't like myself, is a testimony that you are okay. See this? You say, I don't like myself. How do you know you don't like yourself unless you have some way of distinguishing between who you are and the fact that you don't like yourself? So that your liking something is also on something which is superimposed on you. Priyam, Anantam, Satyam. These are all the, if you want to say, qualities of that basic electricity that is powering up the appliance. And so, in conclusion, you have both the inside Savikalpa Samadhi, which of course has both the Drishya as well as the Shabda, and you have the outside Bahya Deshepi Savikalpa Samadhi. They both all resolve into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Then it leads now to verse number 29. He says, okay, these, if you were to do this kind of a samadhi, samadhi means that you inquire into it factually. If you look into the facts about the inside and the outside, then it leads to an appreciation of the beauty and pleasantness of yourself. So he says, Tabdi bhavaha rasa swadat. Tritiyaha purvanmataha. So Tritiya here means all the different kinds of Savikalpa Samadhi, just like before. And now, whether you decide to do it inside or you are doing it outside. Outside meaning without your, inside means with your eyes closed, nothing disturbing you. except your own thoughts. I am doing this, I am doing that, etc. I wish I had done this. All these are, you're involved with it. But you slowly keep them aside, and while you are doing it, begin to appreciate your status without needing any one of those thoughts. This is the beauty of yourself. You can exist without thoughts. You can exist with thoughts. Doesn't matter. You can exist with your eyes closed. You can exist with your eyes open. Doesn't matter. But you are the Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satchidanandaha, Asti Bhati Priyam. And you can see this outside also. So he says, by doing all these samadhis, etaihi samadhibihi shadbihi kalam nirantaram. So the advice given is that first convince your mind that this is the way to appreciate the ananda that you are yourself. Because at the moment your mind is confused and it says, no, there's nothing below, I have to really go outside. I have to have some dessert. I need to get some ice cream. And otherwise I'm not very happy. So you are just concerned with that. So you have to convince your mind, listen, I know you are used to enjoying having fun with eating ice cream, but can you please inquire into it that you don't need to do anything in order to be happy? In the beginning you say, what? I'm bored. I need to do something. So this is what powers our life. That you conclude that I am not okay as the way I am. I need to do something. I need to go somewhere. I need some company. This is the beginning point. But then Shastra says, can you please give yourself a chance? In the beginning, your mind is going to block you from going any further because it'll say, what are you doing? You're just sitting there, everybody else is having fun and you're just sitting there doing nothing. Is that what you want to be? Your mind is going to argue like that. And you have to out-argue the mind and say, Shastra says, look into that. I am okay, I don't need anything. And if you do that in the beginning, it may have some obstacles, but as you begin to see that, my gosh, there is something funny going on, I am okay, I don't need anything, and do this repeatedly. So this is not something that can be done once or twice and then you say, oh, it doesn't work. So this Vedanta stuff doesn't work at all. Now I have to do something. I've got to enjoy myself, go see a movie, go out, eat outside. Nowadays, of course, COVID is very difficult. But otherwise, you could just go to a restaurant and have a nice Indian meal, Mexican meal, Chinese. And that is enjoyment. But this sitting there doing nothing, it doesn't mean anything. So in the beginning you will do that. But if you keep doing this, you see, this is the advice given by Shastra is that there is a difference between Brahma and Prama. Brahma means one which has no truth even though it appears to be truth. It's called Brahma. And Prama means something which is true even if it doesn't appear to be true. See the difference? See the contrast? One is which appears to be true even though it is not true. And the other one is there is an appearance of, there is no appearance of truth, but it is true. This is the difference between Brahma and Prama. And the way to approach them is to actually test them. Test them with a criteria. Test them means to do vichara, to think about them, to inquire. Avicharita siddham dvaitam. So by that token, what appears to be true, if you go close to it, it starts to disintegrate. Whereas Brahma means the more you go into it, in the beginning it doesn't seem to be true, but if you repeat it and go closer to it, examine it, be persistent with it, it starts to open up its secrets to you. And the more you go towards that, the more confident you get. Yes, this is what is being talked about. So this second line of the verse number 29, Etaihi samadhibihi shadbihi nayet kalam nirantaram. May you pursue this line of thinking again and again and again. And if you do that, then in the beginning it is savikalpa samadhi, and you know how to deal with the difference. So you just imagine it's like electricity that is confused, that I want to be, the electricity is not very happy not doing anything. It wants to see itself being applied in an appliance, and he enjoys it. But it is told, listen, you may enjoy it, it's okay, but the real enjoyment is really, you are the very source of the enjoyment. And the appliance is simply borrowing your enjoyment and displaying it for you and keeping you very busy. But really speaking, the real beauty of is you are the very electricity. Enjoy that. In the beginning, the electricity says, but I'm not doing anything. Well, the fact of the matter is that the real enjoyment comes in when you're not doing anything. And the case in point is the darkness of the night. That is the most enjoyable. What are you doing? Nothing is being accomplished. You don't have any people. You don't have any company. There's no movies. There's no play. Nothing. But it is the most pleasant just by yourself. So yes, absolutely you don't need to do anything. And so, or what you can do is remember this fact that you are the very essence of it, even though you are acting outside. Doesn't make any difference. That is given in verse number 30. So let's look at that first. Next, he says, Deha abhimane galite vigyate paramatmani yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhaya. This is a often quoted verse and worth remembering. You know, we've been giving examples of verses that are worth remembering. You may not be able to get all of them, but there are a few that should stay in your mind. And this is one of those, especially the second line. Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhaya. Beautiful. So what it shows is that in the beginning, when you are getting introduced to this subject matter, it could be that your sense of self-enjoyment means the recognition and an enjoyment of just yourself without any accompaniment. It's kind of like, you enjoy the beauty of gold itself rather than any ornaments form of the gold. Because really the ornaments also borrow their grandeur from gold. But the beauty of gold is by itself. It doesn't have to look at its manifestation to enjoy itself. Similarly here also in the beginning, it could be that you need to create an artificial setup in order to do Nirvikalpa Samadhi and to enjoy yourself. It's very possible in the beginning you may to do that. But once you discover the truth of the fact that you are in fact the real thing, if I may say so, the real thing, you are the real thing, not your manifestation, but just the way you are. You may not be just the way you are as a human being, but just the way you are as consciousness. Once you discover that, then it does not matter whether you open your eyes, you transact, you do things, because once you understand your reality, then that reality is never lost. And so in that manner, whether your mind is functioning or not, so you see, this is what I'm saying. In the beginning, it is good to understand that I am without my mind. I can be and I am without my mind. And then when the mind shows up, mind meaning thoughts, actions, desires, sense of satisfaction, dissatisfaction, all those kinds of things called mind, even when they are present, you never lose sight of the fact that you are the Atma which doesn't change. And so, this is what it means, yatra yatra mano yati. Wherever the mind goes, tatra sattva samadhaya. So you can say both the pleasant and the unpleasant experiences of life. That's the two limits. So when something is going on, which is so beautiful, like you have a music and you're listening to music and you're enjoying it, beautiful, enjoy it. But while you're enjoying it, remind yourself and to see clearly that the joy is not in the music but in yourself. The music simply works as an agent for you to invoke your own ananda. So this is a very pleasant experience. Or suppose you have an unpleasant experience. So there, even in the unpleasant experience, you remind yourself that the unpleasantness of the experience is at the level of the mind. But you are the real thing. The mind simply borrows your existence, asti bhati priyam, and it has the ability to become pleasant or unpleasant. Like an ornament which is not well made is also gold, and one which is well made is also gold. One which is good shape versus a bad shape. A poorly made ornament or a well made ornament, both are nothing but gold. This comes from experience and resolution and repeated. And so this is exactly the same thing, the same principles that the science employs. The science never really says that something is like, for example, this vaccine for the coronavirus. So they came out with certain RNA ways of dealing with it, identifying it and neutralizing it, but they have to test it out amongst people. And so it was a very beautiful phenomena how they had half of the people were given the real stuff, half the people were not given the real stuff, and then it had to be repeatedly done so that your sense of assurance is now complete. Yes, this works. 90% of the time it works. So similarly here also, so what you have to do is nirantaram. Like a science that also has to repeat it to validate it. You have to do the same thing. And the more you do that, the more you come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what my mind is doing at any one time. Because in the beginning, whatever the mind was doing, you were it. If somebody said something unpleasant to you, then you became unpleasant. Mind became unpleasant, you became unpleasant. If somebody said some harsh words to you, you were hurt because the mind was hurt. But with this understanding that really my mind may be hurt, but I cannot be hurt. Because the Atma has no way of changing. It is unchanging. And this requires a certain repetition. It's very interesting that in the Mahabharata, so there is a character called Kunti, and she was a devotee of Krishna. She could understand that Krishna was the avatara of Ishvara, and Kunti was very devoted to him. And she made a prayer to Krishna saying, "O Krishna, can you please always give me dukkha in my life?" Imagine that. We always say that please give me sukha, please give me pleasantness, some good experiences. Make sure that I never have a bad experience. This is our prayer. But she prayed that may you always give me not a lot but some dukkha all the time. Why did she do that? Because she said, this is famous in the Mahabharata. She said that because it will remind me about you, because the dukkha will act as an agent for me to remember who I really am. Beautiful. Beautiful. In fact, it was so funny. Just yesterday, somebody sent me a clip. You know what? I might even just play it for you. Hold on just a second. That just occurs to me. Because it has a sound on it. Why don't I play it for you? Just watch this. Oh, wait a second. No, I'm going to the wrong one. Kapoor Mehta. Okay. So this one plays for almost like 2 or 3 minutes. So if you don't mind, let me do this.
Hello, sir. Hello. Ready for
No, this is not it.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Sir.
Ah, got it. Yeah, it's 1.5 minutes, so you can just present.
Now, the commencement speakers will typically also wish you good luck and extend good wishes to you. I will not do that, and I'll tell you why. From time to time in the years to come, I hope you will be treated unfairly so that you will come to know the value of justice. I hope that you will suffer betrayal, because that will teach you the importance of loyalty. Sorry to say, but I hope you will be lonely from time to time, so that you don't take friends for granted. I wish you bad luck again from time to time, so that you will be conscious of the role of chance in life, and understand that your success is not completely deserved, and that the failure of others is not completely deserved either. And when you lose, as you will from time to time, I hope every now and then your opponent will gloat over your failure. It is a way for you to understand the importance of sportsmanship. I hope you'll be ignored, so you know the importance of listening to others. And I hope you will have just enough pain to learn compassion. Whether I wish these things or not, they're going to happen. And whether you benefit from them or not will depend upon your ability to see the message in your misfortunes.
So this is John Roberts, the Supreme Court Justice. And interesting, that's what, you can take this to the next level of the Vedantic message to say that, this is what I was saying, the Kunti was saying that, she was saying that you can actually appreciate the beauty of Atma by looking at problems. That it comes and goes, whereas one stays the same. Anyway, we'll discuss that at some more depth some other time. But what it really means is yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhaya. It doesn't mean that you have to create this artificial closing of the eyes and sitting in isolation to enjoy, and as soon as you come out it is all lost. No. If you do this properly and again, then the objective is that no matter where you are at whatever time, you're always in touch with the beauty of Asti Bhati Priyam. So our acharyas used to say this is what is called, if you want to just make a note of that, is called Sahaja Samadhi. Called Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi means the natural, easy samadhi, not contrived and manufactured as we should do initially, but the end point is that no matter where you are, at whatever you are doing, you are happy with yourself, because the self that you have now deliberately discovered after repeated methods of inquiry stays with you. So this is how it proceeds. Then we will start a new topic on verse number 31 from next time, and coming towards the close of this whole topic. So with that, I'll end the class, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See if you have any questions. Good. Good to see you all. There is a new name that I'm not familiar with. Gr Kovalli. So if you could please send me some information about yourself, I'd very much appreciate it. And hello to all of you, and wonderful to see you all here. And if we hopefully we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye. Om.